Have you ever felt yourself being pushed toward a direction you didn't plan for? As if something unseen is guiding you toward a version of yourself that feels stronger, clearer, and more aligned than the person you were yesterday. Maybe it shows up as a quiet pull inside your chest, or a subtle pressure that makes it impossible to stay where you are. Maybe you've tried to ignore it, telling yourself that it's just stress, or coincidence, or something temporary. But no matter how much you try to reason with it, the feeling returns. It whispers in the background of your thoughts. It shows up in moments of stillness. It lingers in the space between your decisions. And slowly, you realize it is not going away. Something is pulling you forward. This pull is not your imagination. It is not a random moment of emotional noise. It is one of the clearest indicators that you are stepping into a major internal shift. Your life may look the same from the outside, but your inner world has begun to change. A part of you that once stayed quiet is now waking up. The choices, environments, and habits that used to feel comfortable suddenly feel too small. You sense that the person you were is no longer the person you are becoming. And even if you don't know exactly where you're going, you can feel that you're being moved, gently or forcefully, into the orbit of your personal destiny. Destiny does not pull everyone. Most people continue living on autopilot, repeating the same cycles, avoiding discomfort, and ignoring the signs that something more is possible for them. But for some individuals, the pull becomes undeniable. It shows up as restlessness, clarity, intuition, synchronicity, and an almost magnetic force that draws them toward experiences that challenge them to grow. If you're feeling this pull, it means you've reached a point where remaining the same is no longer an option. Life is preparing you for a version of yourself that you have not yet fully met, but can already sense rising beneath the surface. In this video, we're going to explore why this pull is happening to you. We're going to break down what this internal force really means, why it appears at certain moments of your life, and how it connects to your deeper purpose. More importantly, we're going to talk about what it reveals about you as the chosen one. That phrase is not about superiority or being selected by something external. It's about being someone who is awake enough to feel the shift happening inside them. Someone who recognizes that they are being pushed into alignment rather than drifting through life unconsciously. Someone whose potential is beginning to unfold in a way that can no longer be ignored. When you feel pulled into your destiny, it's a sign that you are ready to grow, ready to evolve, ready to step into the path that has been waiting for you. So if you felt this invisible force guiding you, challenging you, or urging you towards something new, even if you don't have the full picture yet, you're in the right place. This video will help you understand that pull, decode what it means, and see how it fits into the larger arc of your personal journey. And by the end, you may realize that what you're feeling isn't pressure, it's guidance, it's alignment, it's the beginning of becoming who you were always meant to be. If you want more content like this and you'd like to continue exploring your deeper path, make sure to like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what comes next. There comes a moment in a person's life when the familiar begins to feel strangely foreign. The places that once felt comfortable start to feel tight, like clothing that no longer fits. Conversations that once energized you become draining. People you were once aligned with now feel distant, as if they belong to a chapter of your story that is quietly closing. Habits that once defined your routine begin to feel empty, repetitive, or irrelevant. You look around and realize that something inside you has already started to move, even if nothing external has changed yet. This is the psychological and spiritual phenomenon often described as being pulled toward your destiny. It is not dramatic, not loud, and not always easy to explain. Instead, it begins as a subtle pressure deep within you, a pressure that grows stronger over time until you can no longer deny its presence. Many people feel the urge for change at different points in their lives, but the pull of destiny feels different. It doesn't feel like boredom, and it doesn't feel like escape. It feels like your inner world is expanding faster than the life around you can contain. You start sensing that the version of yourself you've been living as has reached its limit. Something is urging you to step into a larger space, a greater role, or a deeper truth, even if you don't yet know what that looks like. This pull becomes most noticeable when the old environments that once felt safe begin to feel suffocating. You may catch yourself longing for something you can't name, or imagining possibilities that seem too large, too distant, or too unfamiliar. Yet the feeling doesn't go away. If anything, it becomes stronger each time you try to suppress it. Part of this phenomenon is the realization that certain people no longer feel aligned with who you are becoming. This doesn't mean something is wrong with them. It simply means that you are shifting and your energy is changing. You may notice you no longer resonate with the same conversations, interests, or emotional dynamics. You may feel called towards solitude or feel drawn to new types of people who reflect the emerging version of you rather than the past one. This is one of the clearest signs of destiny pulling. Relationships that no longer match your inner frequency naturally distance themselves, while new connections begin to form almost effortlessly. The shift is subtle, but unmistakably real. At the same time, habits that once gave you comfort start to feel outdated. You may lose interest in old routines, or find yourself feeling restless while doing things that used to bring you satisfaction. The internal voice that once remained quiet now whispers that there is something more, something beyond the familiar circle you've been living in. This whisper becomes a steady current, guiding you away from what no longer aligns with your expansion. You may try to ignore it at first. You may try to cling to old habits for security, but the more you resist, the more uncomfortable it becomes. This resistance is part of the process. It is the old self trying to hold on while the new self is pulling forward. One of the most defining symptoms of destiny pulling is a sudden strengthening of your intuition. You begin sensing things before they happen. You catch emotional shifts in people more easily. You notice small signs in your environment that seem to carry meaning or resonance. Your inner voice grows sharper, clearer, and more persistent. It nudges you towards certain choices and warns you away from others. Intuition becomes less like a random feeling and more like an internal compass that you can't ignore. This intuitive clarity is not accidental. It intensifies because you are entering a stage of your life where awareness is essential. Destiny doesn't pull you blindly. It awakens your inner navigation system so you can see the road ahead even when it's not fully illuminated. Along with heightened intuition, many people experience an increase in emotional sensitivity. You feel more deeply. You process more intensely. You become more aware of what affects your energy, both positively and negatively. This sensitivity is not a weakness, but a recalibration of your inner state. Your system is becoming attuned to the path you are meant to walk, and anything misaligned becomes immediately noticeable. This sensitivity also helps you detect new signals, opportunities, ideas, and possibilities that were previously invisible because you were not ready to embrace them. Another powerful symptom is the realization that there is no turning back. Even if the path ahead feels unclear, even if you have no idea what destiny is pulling you toward, you know that returning to the past is no longer an option. The old version of you has already started dissolving. You have outgrown environments, relationships, and beliefs that can no longer support the magnitude of who you are becoming. The familiar may still exist around you, but it no longer feels like home. There is a quiet certainty inside you, a recognition that something irreversible has begun. This is not fear, it is acceptance. Acceptance that you are crossing a threshold into a new chapter of your life. This chapter marks the beginning of the journey of the chosen one. Being chosen is not about being handpicked by an external force. It is about being someone who has reached a level of awareness where your inner voice, your purpose, and your intuition begin working together to guide you toward your evolution. The pull of destiny is the first initiation. It separates you from your old identity by making it impossible to stay where you were. You no longer belong to the version of yourself that existed before the pull began. You are shedding layers, perceptions, and patterns that are too small for the person you are growing into. You may not feel ready. You may not understand the full meaning of what is happening. You may not have the clarity or confidence you think you need, but destiny selects the moment, not you. It arrives when the inner self becomes strong enough to handle the next stage of growth, even if the conscious mind still feels uncertain. The pull of destiny is the sign that your deeper self has already stepped forward, even if you're still catching up. This is the beginning of a journey that requires courage, awareness, and trust. Destiny doesn't ask you to know the entire path. it asks you to take the first step. The pull will continue guiding you, shaping you, and aligning you with experiences that reveal who you truly are. And while the unknown may feel intimidating, it is also the space where transformation becomes possible. You are not being pulled away from your life, you are being pulled into it. To understand why you are being pulled into your destiny, you must first recognize what it truly means to be the chosen one. This concept is often misunderstood. It does not imply mystical superiority, or the idea that you have been selected by some external force to rise above others. It has nothing to do with being better, more special, or more gifted in a mythical sense. Instead, it reflects a psychological and spiritual readiness. It describes someone who has reached a point where they can no longer deny their inner truth, ignore their intuition, or silence the deeper calling that has been growing inside them. Being chosen means you have chosen yourself, consciously or unconsciously, to step into the next stage of your personal evolution. It means you have become someone who is awake enough to perceive the signals, strong enough to embrace transformation, and honest enough to acknowledge the direction life is pulling you toward. Destiny begins to pull a person when they enter a new cycle of personal growth. This cycle often starts subtly, through a shift in thoughts, emotions, or desires. You may begin feeling that the life you've been living is too small for the person you are becoming. You notice that certain ambitions once felt distant, but now seem urgent. An inner restlessness emerges, not because something is wrong, but because something within you is expanding. Your mind, body, and spirit begin moving in ways that align with a more authentic version of yourself. During this time, you may sense old layers peeling away. Your identity softens so new aspects of yourself can take shape. This growth cycle often brings discomfort, not because you are failing, but because you are transforming. Growth stretches you, challenges you, and pushes you beyond the boundaries of who you used to be. That stretch is the pull of destiny beginning its work. As your true nature rises, it becomes harder to pretend that the old version of you is enough. You may feel drawn toward new ideas, new perspectives, or new possibilities that once seemed irrelevant to your life. Activities and environments that once felt meaningful may start to feel shallow or limiting. You realize you are thinking differently, feeling differently, and seeing the world through a more expansive lens. This internal shift signals that you have outgrown the space you were living in, just as a seed eventually outgrows its shell. Your destiny begins to pull you forward because your inner self is ready for more. It is ready to evolve into its next expression, and destiny acts as the gravitational force guiding you toward that evolution. Another reason destiny pulls someone forward is to guide them away from the wrong path or outdated limitations. Life often gives you subtle signals long before a major shift happens, but these signals can be easy to ignore when you are attached to comfort, routine, or familiarity. You may cling to relationships, beliefs, or environments that no longer resonate with who you are becoming. You may stay in situations that limit your potential because they feel safe. But destiny does not allow you to stay in places that diminish your growth. When you begin to deviate too far from your authentic path, the pull intensifies. You start to feel a friction inside yourself, a growing dissatisfaction or heaviness. What once felt comfortable now feels restrictive. What once felt secure now feels stagnant. This internal pressure is not punishment, it is protection. It is life redirecting you away from choices that suppress your potential. Sometimes the redirection appears as repeated obstacles in the wrong direction. Other times it shows up as opportunities disappearing or relationships naturally drifting apart. And sometimes it manifests as a deep emotional knowing that you cannot stay where you are. The pull away from outdated limitations is often just as strong as the pull toward your destiny. The two forces work together, clearing space so your path can unfold without the weight of what no longer serves you. Destiny also pulls you forward because you have a role, mission, or purpose that you can no longer delay or ignore. Purpose is not something grandiose or dramatic. It is not about saving the world or achieving something extraordinary by societal standards. Purpose is the alignment between your inner truth and your outer actions. It is the moment your life begins to match your authentic self. But purpose waits for readiness. It waits for awareness. It waits until you can handle the responsibility of living in alignment with your deeper self. When you begin to awaken, the distance between who you are and who you were born to become becomes too great to ignore. Destiny pulls you because the time has come to bridge that gap. This mission or purpose often begins as a feeling rather than a clear vision. You may sense that there is something you are meant to do, even if you cannot articulate it. You may feel called toward a certain direction without understanding why. You may feel drawn toward a different lifestyle, a new field of interest, or a deeper level of authenticity. Purpose reveals itself gradually, often through internal nudges and external signs. The pull of destiny ensures you cannot continue living in misalignment with your deeper calling. It compels you to move, to question, to explore, and to follow the thread of your intuition until the path becomes more defined. Purpose becomes unavoidable because you are finally in a state where you can recognize it. One of the most misunderstood aspects of destiny is the belief that it is an external command, something imposed upon you by fate, the universe, or some unseen force. In reality, destiny is far more internal than external. It is the natural alignment between awareness, intuition, and potential. When these three elements sync together, the pull of destiny becomes unmistakable. Awareness helps you see what is happening inside you. Intuition helps you sense the direction you need to move. Potential acts as the force drawing you toward your highest expression. Destiny is the harmony created when these parts of you begin working together in unison. This alignment does not happen by accident. It emerges when a person becomes conscious enough to listen to themselves deeply. It arises when you stop numbing your emotions, ignoring your instincts, or suppressing your inner voice. When you reach that threshold of awareness, your life begins shifting to match the truth you've been holding inside. That shift creates the sensation of destiny pulling you forward. You feel it as a mixture of momentum, pressure, clarity, tension, excitement, and even fear. It's the sensation of stepping towards something that feels deeply right, even if it's unfamiliar. It's the recognition that the life you are moving toward is more aligned with your authentic self than the life you are leaving behind. Destiny is not a force that overrides your free will. It is a force that activates when your free will aligns with your deeper truth. It does not force you into anything. It pulls you because a part of you already wants to move in that direction. It reveals the path that matches your inner growth, but it does not walk the path for you. It guides you gently, then strongly, then undeniably, until the pull becomes an invitation you can no longer resist. When you feel destiny pulling you, it is because you have reached a point where remaining unchanged is more painful than stepping into the unknown. Your inner world is evolving faster than your external reality, and destiny is simply helping you catch up. You are no longer a passive observer in your life. You are becoming an active participant in your evolution. This shift marks the transition from living unconsciously to living intentionally. It marks the moment when your life stops being something that happens to you and becomes something you co-create with your awareness, intuition, and potential. When destiny begins pulling you forward, one of the first challenges you'll face is the instinctive resistance that rises within you. Human beings are naturally drawn to comfort, familiarity, and predictability, even when those things no longer support growth. So when the pull of destiny arrives and begins shifting your inner world, your first reaction may be to tighten your grip on the life you've known. You may find yourself trying to hold on to old routines, old relationships, old identities, or old beliefs, even when they feel increasingly heavy or restrictive. This resistance is normal, but it is also the barrier that keeps many people from stepping into the life they were meant to live. The first step in cooperating with the pull of destiny is learning to stop resisting the shift. Instead, you begin accepting the changes taking place within you, listening to your emotions, noticing the signs around you, and choosing to move forward with courage rather than fear. Acceptance does not mean surrendering control or abandoning the life you have built. It means acknowledging that change is already underway and choosing to work with it instead of against it. When you stop resisting, you give yourself permission to grow. You allow yourself to evolve beyond the boundaries that once defined you. This acceptance often starts quietly. You might admit to yourself that certain patterns no longer serve you. You might recognize that you have outgrown particular roles or environments. You might feel a sudden clarity about something you've been avoiding. Accepting change is not always comfortable, but it is essential. Destiny cannot pull you forward if you insist on pulling yourself backward. Listening to your emotions is another critical part of cooperating with destiny. Your emotional responses are often the first indicators of misalignment. When you feel restless, drained, or out of place, these are not random experiences. They are signals that your inner self is trying to communicate with you. Emotions act as internal messengers, guiding you toward what resonates and away from what restricts. When you allow yourself to feel these emotions without judgment, they become a powerful compass pointing you toward your next steps. Destiny speaks through intuition, through discomfort, through longing, through inspiration, and through the quiet but persistent sense that something more is waiting for you. When you listen deeply, you begin to understand the direction in which you are being pulled. Noticing signs is equally important. Life has a way of creating synchronicities when you are on the verge of a significant shift. You might see symbols repeating, encounter certain messages at the exact moment you need them, or meet people who appear at the right time to challenge or support you. These signs are not coincidences. They are reflections of your inner readiness. They appear because you are becoming aligned with the path ahead. The more you notice them, the clearer your direction becomes. Signs do not provide all the answers, but they confirm that you are moving in the right direction. They show you that the pull you feel is not imagined. It is part of a larger movement unfolding both within and around you. Stepping forward with courage is the moment where inner awareness transforms into outer reality. Courage does not mean you are fearless. It means you move even when fear is present. Every destiny-driven path requires courage because it asks you to leave behind the familiar and walk toward the unknown. You may not know what awaits you on the other side of the transition, but you can sense that staying where you are is no longer sustainable. Courage bridges the gap between who you were and who you are becoming. When you take even one small step forward, you signal to yourself and to life that you are ready to move with the pull instead of resisting it. Destiny's pull is often strongest when you try to stay in a place you've outgrown. The discomfort intensifies, the restlessness grows, the pressure becomes almost tangible. This isn't punishment, it's momentum. When a chapter of your life has reached its natural end, destiny will not allow you to stay confined within it. The more you resist, the heavier the pull feels. But once you begin moving with it, something remarkable happens. The journey becomes lighter. The uncertainty becomes less overwhelming. The fear becomes manageable. Opportunities appear where you once saw walls. Clarity emerges where there once was confusion. When you stop resisting and start cooperating, you discover that destiny is not dragging you away from your life. It is guiding you into a more aligned version of it. This shift from resistance to cooperation requires conscious action. Destiny might open the path, but you are the one who must walk it. Conscious action means making choices that align with your inner truth rather than your old patterns. It means choosing growth over comfort, authenticity over approval, and purpose over habit. These choices are not always easy, but they shape the trajectory of your life. Conscious action reinforces the pull of destiny by grounding it in real, tangible movement. Every decision you make becomes a declaration of who you are becoming. Discipline is also essential. The journey into your destiny is not a single moment of revelation. It is a series of ongoing steps, each of which requires intention and effort. Discipline does not mean rigidity, it means commitment. It means returning to your path even when distractions, fears, or doubts arise. It means trusting yourself enough to follow through on the insights and guidance you receive. Discipline allows you to build the momentum needed to fully align with your purpose. Without it, destiny remains an idea instead of a lived experience. Trust is another foundational element of this process. Trust in yourself, trust in your intuition, trust in the unfolding of your path, and trust in the timing of your journey. Trust does not eliminate uncertainty, but it softens it. Trust allows you to take steps without demanding to see the entire map. It allows you to believe in the validity of your inner calling, even when the external world cannot yet reflect it. When you trust the pull of destiny, you no longer see it as a threat or a disruption. You see it as guidance. You see it as alignment. You see it as the natural movement of your life, drawing you towards something meaningful. When conscious action, discipline, and trust work together, the path before you becomes clearer. Destiny no longer feels like a force pushing you from behind. It becomes a direction pulling you forward. You feel supported rather than pressured. You feel guided rather than overwhelmed. You begin moving with the rhythm of your life instead of fighting against it. This is the moment when destiny stops feeling like an external force and begins feeling like an inner truth, finally expressing itself. As you continue moving with the pull, you will notice your life shifting in ways that may surprise you. Relationships evolve, opportunities open, inner confidence grows, old fears lose their power. You start becoming the version of yourself you once only sensed in glimpses. This transformation is not forced. It is the natural result of aligning your awareness, intuition, and potential. When you merge with the path that is opening before you, life begins to feel less like a struggle and more like a flow. The decisions you once agonized over become easier. The steps you once feared become familiar. The path that once seemed impossible becomes the path you were always meant to walk. And this brings us to the final truth of this section. Destiny does not pull you to force you into anything. It pulls you to take you where you truly belong. You are not being pushed into someone else's plan or someone else's vision. You are being guided into the fullest, truest expression of yourself. Destiny is the alignment of your inner truth with your outer life. It is the moment when who you are meant to be finally catches up with who you are ready to become. It is the natural unfolding of your purpose, your potential, and your path. Once you understand this, the pull no longer feels threatening. It feels like coming home. As we reach the end of this video, it's important to step back and look at everything you've been experiencing from a wider perspective. The changes unfolding within you, the urges pushing you to move, the signals that keep appearing, and the internal pull guiding you forward are not random events. They're not coincidences or fleeting sensations that pass without meaning. These shifts are clear indicators that you are entering a significant phase of your personal journey. Something within you is awakening, realigning, and preparing you for a chapter of your life that requires more awareness, more courage, and more authenticity than ever before. When destiny begins pulling you, it is because something inside you is finally ready to step into its rightful place. The internal pull you've been feeling is not a disruption, it's a revelation. It reveals that the path you once walked is too small for the person you're becoming. It shows you that the old ways of living, thinking, and relating no longer match your inner truth. The things that used to make sense may feel dull or distant now, not because you're lost, but because you've outgrown what once defined you. The tension you feel is the space between who you were and who you're meant to become, and that tension is the sign that transformation is already happening. Destiny never begins with clarity, it begins with movement, with a pull that draws you into deeper layers of your purpose. During times like this, it's easy to question yourself. You might wonder why things feel different, why your emotions feel sharper, or why certain relationships or environments no longer resonate the way they used to. But these experiences are not happening to unsettle you, they are happening to align you. They are guiding you toward a direction you might not fully understand yet, but will soon recognize as necessary. The pull is not meant to push you into discomfort for no reason. It is meant to draw you into a life that fits who you truly are. Every urge, every sign, every moment of clarity or confusion is part of that shift. It is also essential to remember that even though everyone has a journey, not everyone listens to the deeper signals guiding them. Many people ignore the signs, silence their intuition, or cling to old identities because they're afraid of change. They feel the pull, but fight it until it fades. They stay in places they've outgrown because fear convinces them that staying still is safer than moving forward. But your presence here, listening to this message, suggests that you are not one of those people. You are paying attention. You are noticing the shifts. You're aware enough to sense that something is unfolding within you and brave enough to acknowledge it. Only those who notice the signs and choose to act on them are able to move in the direction meant for them. Aware alone is not enough. Action is required. The pull of destiny is an invitation, not a command. You must decide whether to answer it. When you take even the smallest step forward, whether it's changing a habit, setting a boundary, pursuing a calling, or simply trusting your intuition, you strengthen that pull. You align yourself with the path that is waiting for you. Destiny responds to movement. It becomes clearer, gentler, and more supportive when you participate in its unfolding. So as you move forward from here, remember that what you're experiencing is meaningful. The shifts inside you are real. The pull you feel has purpose. You are entering a new phase of your life, one that will ask more of you, but also reveal more of you. This is the beginning of becoming who you were meant to be. If you found this helpful, make sure to like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what comes next.